Hey, old Pandawans and journeymen walking that illustrated Orctober path. Once again, another video coming to you, doing some orky goodness, some of those gruesome, toothsome, mean green bastards that y'all love and know. So this one here, again, I'm using the messy brush, as I call it, and someone posted a comment when I said the messy brush. They think of a soccer player. Apparently, Messi is a popular soccer player. So forgive me for all the European and basically non-United States people who know this person. I don't. The only soccer players I know are the kids who play in the cul-de-sac, after work and stuff or after school, I should say. We don't have our kids start working until they're at least 12. Yeah, I didn't know there was a soccer player named Messi. If sounds like he's a impressive character, which is exactly what this Messi character is here. So I'm doing a little, I guess, a interpretation, whatever. It's not an exact blade master, as you would say, but it's in the spirit of. So, a brief little history lesson for everyone out there who knows the Blizzard world and the Warcraft universe. Well, the Blade Master was originally created from a character that I had, once again, from one of my D&D campaigns, which has proven to be a great resource for me for the work that I've done with Blizzard. The Blade Master, like the name Warcraft, was originally a character I created when I was playing Dungeons and Dragons with my brothers that I played D&D with even up until this day. So, 35 years, I guess. So, real quick. Warcraft was a name of, it was a question I had in the comments. Warcraft is a character that I had who was sort of this warrior that had, a sword, a shield, an axe, a spear, a bow, an arrow, and crossbow, all this stuff. He was basically like a Rob Liefeld 1990s type character who had every sort of weapon available as a warrior, and he would carry those with him. And his name was Warcraft, and that name came because he was sort of the antithesis, right? Antithesis of in the world where witchcraft was dominant. He was like a warrior who stood against all of that sort of, shenanigans that the witches would brew and conjure and things like that. Where they had spell, he had steel. So with this character, the original Blade Master was based off a character I had named Grumach the Wanderer. And he was basically just a half-orc warrior, because back in the day, you were very limited on what type of races you can play. They had elves and gnomes, half-orcs, human, dwarf, halflings, that was basically it. This was back in Dungeons and Dragons, like 2nd edition. And so I'm like, well, I'd love to play this half-orc guy that is outcast from his clan and outcast also from human society because he's, not an orc and he's not a human. And he would basically just wander the world, sword in hand, and be basically, a hired gun, mercenary, that sort of thing. So the original Blade Master was based off my character, Grumach. And in Warcraft 3, you had all kinds of Blade Masters, really cool names, but the one that always stuck out was Samuro, because it sounded like samurai. And I guess apparently, because my name's Sam, Samuro, it kind of tied together because I created it. So Samuro was like one of the main. That's a cool looking orc face right there. Look at that. Yeah. But I decided, I was just kind of doodling this character up, and I was listening, like I've told you in previous videos, I've been listening to a lot of the old music that I grew up with. One of those bands being Kiss. Kiss was my favorite band when I was a kid. I remember being 9 or 10 years old and my mom taking me to the Anaheim Convention Center to see Kiss on their Dynasty tour. And Kiss always had they were very artistic in their presentation. They had the cool face paint, they had the explosions, the spitting blood, breathing fire, and all that. They were basically just awesome artwork. They were like superhero characters. And, I've always loved that. And a lot of my artwork has been influenced by, the band Kiss, because just their theatrics, their presentation, everything like that. So when I started making the Blade Master based off of Grumach, I'm like, well, how can we juice him up? Give him some armor, give him some shields, make his, blade bigger than life. And so that's kind of how the Blade Master came to be. But again, it was all based off of a half-orc, second edition Dungeons and Dragons character that I had made. I don't even remember playing him that often, but a lot of times the artwork that I do for these characters resonates to me. And so like when I was on, when I'm doing work with Blizzard, I'll bring a lot of that influence into some of the characters that we're creating. So this is kind of, some of the origins of I guess, Samuro being the main Blade Master. He's made it from Warcraft 3. I believe he's in WoW somewhere. WoW nerds, you can tell me that or not. But he, in Heroes of the Storm, he was a super big character. Everyone really loved seeing join that sort of pantheon of Blizzard heroes and Heroes of the Storm. And it's always been a favorite of mine because in the Origins, it was basically this half-orc that was outcast from both of his, parental heritage and just made his way selling his sword with a banner on his back. That's kind of how this character evolved. And I was listening to the Kiss song, going back to that, listening to the old Kiss music, and I really kind of tuned out of Kiss when I was a kid when they took their makeup off, because that's what I really loved about them, their artistic presentation, all that. And, I love their music too. But this one, I've been listening to a lot of the old Kiss albums and going back and looking at live concerts and stuff like that. And they had this song off of, I think it's Psycho Circus. It was like their kind of big reunion-ish type album. And they had a song called Raise Your Glasses. And I'm like, oh, well, I could do a cool picture of this samurai orc character, because it is Orctober and I have to keep drawing orcs. Yeah, bend my arm, please. And so he's toasting, raising his big old, sake cup to the sky in cheers, whether it's after a battle with someone or before battle. I believe even in Heroes, when he teleports back to the home base, he whips out like a sake cup and drinks it and just throws it over his back and folds his arms. But I thought that was a really fun image to do, and with a character that I love this character. But that was basically it. I didn't have a lot of thought in this one. I just sort of did this. And as you can see now, I'm just sort of outlining the character in white to kind of push back some of the elements in the back. Now I could, shade the banners that he has and all that to push him back more. But this was just a really quick image that I did. And this was probably one of the most fun I had doing, because there's so much history with this character with me before Blizzard and during Blizzard times. So that's it, Pandawans. Remember your ABCs. Always be creating. Hail!